on the other side. Okay, so we have a platform. There are two sides. We could think of Airbnb, for instance, where one side would be people wanting to rent an apartment, and the other side would be people who are looking to rent out an apartment. Okay, or just to simplify even further, we could call the two sides buyers and sellers. Okay, so if we're thinking the way we have been so far in the course, I could think, these are in some sense two separate markets. There's buyers who want to, if the platform want to have a charge a certain, charge something from the buyer side, and you want to charge something from the seller side. So call it PB, what you're charging from buyers, and instead of just writing Q here, the quantity of buyers, we're going to be having N. So just to match up with the notation that we have in the equations in the book. Okay. Similarly, sellers and number of sellers. Okay. There's a demand like this. So demand from buyer side, and so marginal cost to the buyers. And if you the firm just set the price, profit maximizing price to the buyer side, not taking account of network effects. We'll get to that. It would set the price where there would be a marginal revenue curve that would be steeper than the demand curve. So it would set price wherever the marginal revenue curve intersects with the marginal cost curve, and we would have P, B case where NN say no network effects. We're not taking account of the effect on the other side of the market. Assuming there are no fixed cost here, we would have profit from the buyer side, price minus marginal cost here. The marginal cost is constant times the quantity that's being produced. Okay. Similarly, on the buyer side or on the seller side, right, would be let's do that a little nicer. There would be a demand curve again, and there would be a marginal cost curve like that. So MCS and demand here. Okay, if we set price just the as optimizing to the seller side alone, if this was viewed in isolation, just as we do in the rest of the course, we would set a quantity where the marginal revenue curve intersects marginal cost curve somewhere around here, and we would have profits that are equivalent to the striped area here. Okay, if we now instead take account of the network effects on the other side of the market, okay, so if I charge a lower price to the people who want to rent an apartment, as Airbnb actually do, it's I don't pay anything per se if I go onto that site. So I lower that price, could be all the way to 0, but just for simplicity, say that we're lowering it to a point such as this, call that P NE, network effects, the buyer side. So we're taking account of the network effects. We're lowering price here. This is going to be, we would then have profits according to the red dashed area from the buyer side. So I would be lowering as a platform. I would be lowering my profits to the buyer side. Why would I be doing that? Well, when there are positive network effects, the value of this market to sellers increases when there are more buyers on the market. So this is sort of the key point, meaning that the think of this as the demand curve that we see on the seller side shifts out. Now more buyers on this market, the valuation of this market to sellers, the valuation of being in this platform increases. Another way of saying that is that the demand curve shifts out for sellers. Okay, so again, thinking of an optimal quantity at the point where the new marginal revenue curve then intersects the marginal cost curve, which would be somewhere like here. And we would have profits in this new situation in line with the red area here, which presumably then make up for the lost profits from the lower price to the buyer side. Okay, so in some sense you're subsidizing or you're lowering price to one side of the market to more than regain that on the other side of the market, and this is really the core background for platform pricing, and an important reason why so many services are free on the web. Okay,